Caleb Wesson has changed a little bit as a player, hadn't he? And
Yeah.
what is he now relative to what you're used to playing against?
Well, last year we didn't play against him here at the end of the
right.
season. So, when you can do a lot of different things, like he can post up, he can pass, it really puts you in the mix because you can't really just lock into one thing that he does. He can play low post basketball and score and pass. He can be in the mid post and handle the ball and actually come to a jump stop and make a decision. Then he can catch and shoot, 3-pointers. And but like other night against Rutgers, he did a good job a couple times of helping them against the press. He did a good job of passing the basketball. So he affected the game besides just his scoring. He did a solid job scoring, but when you get a lot of attention and you don't take a lot of shots, but yet you affect the game, it's one thing versus the person who shoots all the time and tries to affect the game. Well, you know what he's going to do. You know what that person who's going to shoot all the time is going to do, and now it allows you to at least lock into that person.
Right.
Doesn't mean you're going to stop them, but at least to, let you know when there's the uncertainty of what someone's going to do, and they have the ability to hurt you in so many different ways, and they have that kind of size. It's a tough matchup. It's one of those things where you have to just be aware, as a team,
Right.
With that person.
Is there anything you saw in your team at Indiana in terms of their ability to play well on the road that you feel needs to be carried over to Ohio State and Wisconsin now?
Well, I think, winning at Northwestern obviously helped us, play better in Indiana. You just try to grow, with your confidence, with your play. It's like after the Indiana game, like as a coach, I just felt unbelievably positive all the time. I was like, man, I was so positive in the game. I had a lot to be positive about.
Right.
Even the things that we struggled with, I thought we were trying to do the things that we've been working on. I think that's the thing that jumps out, to me, is that we just have to keep trying to do those things. And I think we lost some of that in the game against Penn State. Like, we weren't sharp in what we were running. We weren't sharp in knowing what we were running at times. And then defensively, we just had too many breakdowns. I thought in Indiana, we knew what we were doing, and we were just more connected. It's probably the best word to kind of grasp, is I just thought we were more connected in that Indiana game and did some good things. Obviously, we made some shots, but it wasn't like we,
Right.
Hit 14 threes like Penn State did.
Right.
We hit 8. But in each area and each player, I thought at the worst we were solid. Some guys played better than others, but I thought everybody contributed, and that really helped us. So hopefully that, helps use this in our next road game against Ohio State.
Tuesday showed that there's still a lot of growth left for this team.
Well, I think the word that pops out is just the discipline. Like, we didn't have discipline in certain areas. We missed some layups, we missed some post moves, we missed some free throws, and we had to score with Penn State while they were scoring, obviously, and we didn't. But we had breakdowns on the defensive end. They made a couple tough ones. Brockington made one, doesn't normally make it. Wheeler makes one, doesn't normally make them. But the other guys we knew could shoot. And but for a guy that's made 17 threes on the year, like Lundy, and he gets 6 in the game, so it wasn't one of those things where someone could shoot, but have they had a game like that? That's more than a third that he's made all season. So he's played 23 games, he's made 17. To say you think someone's going to come out and make 6, it's a little bit of a stretch. But as you go down and you kind of dissect, each play and each defensive possession, with those threes, it was just breakdowns. It was just breakdowns. A couple times we had a bad trap one time, then we have a bad rotation one time, then we have a couple guys point switching and not going with their man. And so, you could go on and on, so sometimes it's hard to really generalize. But I just get back to the discipline of doing your job. You do your job, and Brockington makes one or Wheeler makes one, I'm cool with it. I'm fine with it. But we're not leaving dread, and he gets on the run a couple times because guys just aren't paying attention. That's on us. We got to be better than that.
We talked with B.J. Thompson a couple of weeks ago. What's the most important thing having a guy like that on your staff, still strongly connected to the program that he brings here?
Well, I think you always have a percentage of players that aren't mature enough to realize that coaches are trying to help them. And to have someone like that that's played a year professionally, that played 4 years here, that can really do a good job of transferring that direction from the coaching staff to understand, hey, these guys are for you. These guys are trying to help you. Don't fight what they're saying. And I think that's probably the most important thing, because when you're younger as a coach, you take things personal. You just do. You know, it's just no different than your parents. You know, your parents tell you stuff all the time what to do, and then some stranger tells you to do the same thing. And you're like, hey, Mom, guess what? I started to do this because this guy told me to do it. But yet, you know, that person's mom's told him 100 times to do the same thing. So sometimes the messenger can really help. When someone's closer in age to you, or someone who's played and had success, and you realize, like, hey, they're really trying to help me. And as a coach, you've got to figure out the buttons you have to push. You know, some guys need a pat on the back, and, you know, some guys you got to jump. And, you know, because what we try to do is just communicate with them and just talk with them and just try to, you know, give them that message. But if you can change the messenger sometimes, it really helps.
You see anything different between PJ the coach and PJ the player? Or is it still kind of the same guy through and through?
It's the same guy, same guy. I think that's the one thing, being authentic and being yourself really helps in today's game, because guys respect that. Guys respect if you're honest with them. They might not like it, but as long as you can stay, you know, honest with players, I think they really respect that. You know, they don't like it, but it's the best thing for them.
What is C.J. Walker? How does he help the program over at Ohio State, and the experience, of course? But
just a good point guard, good defensive point guard, can break you down off the dribble. Hasn't scored quite like he's capable. You know, like he's struggled shooting the basketball, but he's a better shooter than that. So he's a guy that can knock down a three, can make a pull-up, can get to the rim. But his main thing is, you know, leadership, running a team, you know, putting pressure on the basketball. They got such good shooters. You know, they got a great big guy, but they got, you know, a handful of guys that can really play between the point guard and the center. Kyle Young's a hard-charging dude that does a lot for their teams. Not a big-time scorer, but has his games where he does. The rest of those guys are good players. Luther Muhammad's a good player. Dwayne Washington. You could go on and on. Andre Wesson is having a very good year, can really shoot the basketball. So, you know, he's a key piece, you know, especially now with DJ Carton out. You know, he's a huge piece because he has those point guard skills and those leadership abilities.